Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Becoming a Mangaka in One Piece World. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 481, we are simply going to submerge him and his island in the ocean. One Piece events. Luffy pressed the tone dial button, and Nami's voice echoed throughout the place. I'm sorry for leaving without saying anything, Nami's voice said. It's Nami's voice. Chopper exclaimed happily. Nami's voice continued, I've decided to become a navigator in Shiki's crew. Shiki is a legendary pirate whom you could never match up to, even if you stood up to him. Even if you came after me, you'd only end up losing your lives. I'm just saying this much. Luffy's hand trembled as he held the tone dial and listened to Nami's words. What the hell, he exclaimed. Why is she saying this to us? Cece, calm down, Luffy. Usopp tried to soothe him. We could never match up to him? Luffy couldn't believe what he had just heard. But as a matter of fact, he kicked all your asses, Frankie said. What? This was... No. I didn't actually lose. Luffy felt angry and embarrassed. Stop it, Luffy. Calm down. Usopp insisted. Damn. Luffy left the tone dial in Usopp's hands and stormed off. Usopp, let's hear it again, Sanji said. Huh? Okay. Usopp replied. As they listened to Nami's message again, Luffy destroyed a huge rock in anger. The elites are arriving. Back at the Golden Lion's headquarters on the main island, Merville, the Golden Lion, was feeling good. Finally. The world government. It's been 20 years since I've felt my legs tingle. Suddenly, Dr. Indigo arrived and communicated with him as usual, using body language and the annoying sound of his shoes, which resembled the sound of farting. Okay, I see. I'll be right there, the Golden Lion nodded and stood up. Dr. Indigo was shocked into place. He understood, he exclaimed. Outside, it was still snowing, and Shiki, wearing a mask to avoid poison gas in the Daft Green area, found that some trees had been blown up. I see. You wanted to level the trees and get the monsters to attack the palace. Was this your plan from the beginning, huh, baby-chan? Nami was arrested by Shiki's subordinates and was in a deplorable state. She was breathing with difficulty as a green rash appeared on her body. Why, after I agreed to your conditions? Shiki asked. I know you won't do as I asked, Nami replied. My hometown getting destroyed. My friends grieving over bad news. I don't want to see that, she added. After hearing that, Shiki grabbed Nami by the neck and lifted her off the ground. You were too hasty, he said. He then glued her to a Daft Green tree, causing her rash to worsen. Didn't count on the powerful poison that these trees release, eh? A pirate shouldn't talk about home and family. It's a shame to let childish attachments drag you down and put your life in danger, he continued as he locked her between several iron poles. If you're lucky enough to be alive when the General Assembly ends, I'll let you be my navigator for life. I don't dislike sassy women. Jahahaha. Jahahaha. Shamatsuki Town. Inside the art store, both Dr. Koreha and Roronoa Arashir from the special section came out, while the medical team stayed behind to set up an immortal medical room. Author's note, immortal medical rooms are a new addition to the art store that relies on the life stability feature inside the art store to perform serious operations for patients, guaranteeing a 100% success rate of the operation. The first thing that caught the attention of both Koreha and Arashir was the sound of many angry comments from readers cursing at Shiki in different languages. What the hell? Nami can't say that, there's obviously a trick in the subject, one reader commented noisily. It's unbelievable, it's impossible for Nami to say that. She seems to have sent a hidden message between her words since Sanji decided to hear it again, added another reader.
That's what I noticed too. There's no need to think about what Luffy understood.
We all know how stupid he is. If Sanji sees that something is wrong, he definitely is, but that won't stop me from cursing at the bastard Shiki, said another reader.
Nami-chan is fully aware of how strong Luffy is.
Not only that, but the more we know how much the Straw Hats believe in their captain, it is impossible for her words to be literal.
What the hell? What are you doing to Nami-chan? This bastard dared to deal violently with Nami. This is $at.
Obscene words. Seeing the scene of Shiki taunting Nami, who was trying to use his plan on him by guiding mutated monsters to his palace, made the reader's blood boil.
Nami was the goddess in the hearts of most of them.
Even touching her was forbidden, let alone hitting her and causing her to be poisoned even more.
It seems that readers are angry with Shiki.
Ehehe, that colleague's bad reputation is going to get worse, commented Kureha, laughing.
Manga One Piece is incredible.
It can make people who don't exist yet loved, and it can also make existing people deeply hated. Erasure recalled how famous his unborn son was and couldn't help sighing in amazement at how wonderful his future would be if he was famous even before he was born. Of course, it's incredible. After all, it is the mirror of the future. Anyway, let's hurry to your mother's house. Although World's operation has come back, his situation still needs medical care.
Sure, Erasure nodded, and they quickly left the art store, where not many people noticed them.
In the famous kendo dojo of the Shimatsuki family, an old man sat smoking a cigarette instead of his pipe. This time, he also had an alcoholic drink from time to time.
Che, this golden lion is annoying. When will his ass be kicked?
The old man Kozaburo was very upset by Shiki's actions.
What does he want to challenge the world government for? Ha? With those cute animals? Ha ha ha. What a funny joke. Seeing the golden lion's promise towards the world government made Kozaburo mock him. Nami-chan doesn't deserve such treatment. This bastard wants to disturb my mood.
A little girl who wants to protect her homeland and fulfill her dream can't be considered a pirate of your kind, you despicable golden lion.
Maragoa.
Inside the art store, the celestial dragons erupted in a thunderous roar that reverberated through the skies.
What? How dare he treat Nami-swan like that? My heart is bleeding.
A celestial dragon's taker's eyes turned red with anger. What he witnessed was his beloved waifu being beaten and punished by the golden lion.
Hey, guards! Guards! Where the hell are you?
Summon all the damned admirals, we're going to raid the golden lion. I want to personally slap his ass.
Another celestial dragon shouted in fury. Let go of me. I told you to leave me alone. How could he treat my waifu with such cruelty?
Nami has suffered enough in her past, she deserves to be treated with kindness. I'll ask the Gorosei to activate the ancient weapon and destroy him and his island.
Damn it all. Let's start a collective petition to destroy the golden lion. Oh.
The celestial dragon's idea of a petition to destroy the golden lion attracted the attention of all the celestial dragons who loved Nami, and they all shouted their approval.
Yes. Let's destroy that bastard.
Amidst the chaos and pandemonium in Maragoa, the atmosphere in Ohara was equally chaotic. Contrary to expectations, Belmere remained cold as she watched Nami being tormented by the golden lion scene. When Otoheim, Alvia, and Gloriosa attempted to calm her down, they were surprised to find her unusually composed.
Bella. Older sister Alvia, how about we go and look for the golden lion?
I recall seeing Merville Island on the list of islands we can travel to instantly, that means he has an art store there.
How about you lend me a hand? We won't do anything drastic, just sink him and his island in the ocean. Chapter 482, Cool Entry, Part 1. One Piece Events. Good of all you to come here. Now you will drink some ceremonial sake as a sign of your devotion to me.
In the middle of a large Japanese-style hall, sitting on his high throne, at the end of 2 rows of subordinate pirates, Shiki began to speak. For your information, I show no mercy to traitors. So keep that in mind, he added. It's time to depart for the sea of schemes.
The tragic East Blue! He exclaimed.
Shiki started putting his floating islands together, to get ready to start his plan.
Returning to the crew, they were finally ready to make their next move. Let's go, Frankie, said Luffy.
Okay.
Hang on tight. Frankie nodded.
Then he exclaimed, Kuda burst. Sunigo shot through the ground and soared into the air like a rocket directly towards the main island of Merville.
Shiki's subordinates were surprised to see a flying ship falling directly toward them.
It broke up through the natural duffed green trees fence towards the palace and eventually stopped.
Why, you're kidding me. Right? Entering the palace on a ship? Who the hell are they?
The rising dust covered the straw hats of those who were standing on the ship, and the eyes of the Shiki subordinates widened after seeing them. Back in the meeting room, Dr. Indigo still pours sake to those present.
As you know, the East Blue is the weakest of the 5 seas.
It has no great figures whose death will be regretted.
Be as wild as you want. This is the birth of the Golden Lion Pirates. Marine Ford.
A loud boom was heard as a large part of the admiral of the fleet's office crashed.
Garp, exclaimed Sengoku. Am I a joke to you, Golden Lion chick?
Garp's forehead veins bulged as he read what Shiki had said in the manga.
The East Blue has no great figures whose death will be regretted, huh? Wahahaha. Great. Laughed Garp. Garp. Pay for the office, damn it. Sengoku wanted to scream louder, but his injuries from the previous setback held him back. Sengoku, this Shiki is too arrogant. I think he has the idea of bullying my homeland. I feel like dropping his islands will be a great idea. How about lending me a buster call to deal with him? Garp suggested. Buster call will not work on floating islands in the sky, Zephyr interjected, shaking his head. It looks like the final battle is about to start.
What a great entry for Luffy and his buddies, Saru said with a smile, interrupting the bustle of Garp and Sengoku. Garp brushed his nose with his pinky finger with an unenthusiastic expression.
Oh, the entry is fine. Garp. Don't throw your nose shit at me.
I swear that after I am completely healed, I will settle all this with you.
Sengoku's face turned red with anger.
He always wondered why Rob didn't attack Garp as well.
Sengoku was grateful that Zephyr and especially Tsuru weren't targeted, but why Garp too?
He would have been delighted to see him stunned by the Conqueror Haki similar to the lightning of destruction.
Merville Island. Jihahaha.
So this is how the next chapter of the Golden Lion Pirates begins, exclaimed Shiki.
Excellent. I don't see any famous faces in your crew. What's the point of gathering a group of weaklings, Shiki?
Kaido sneered. You don't even have one vice captain, while I have 2 disasters under me, the king and queen, and soon I will have my own jack to form the 3 disasters.
Warorororo. Kaido laughed contemptuously at the Golden Lion crew.
Tell me, Shiki, how did you get the title of Great Pirate besides Whitebeard and Roger?
I suppose you relied on being a member of Rock's Pirates and your title as the #1 swordsman in the world back then, right? Kaido taunted. The veins appeared on the Golden Lion's face. Kaido. Don't spout nonsense. Don't you know how famous my flying armada fleet is?
With it, I can conquer any kingdom in the world and spread chaos.
Not even a powerful navy fleet can stand in my way. Shiki retorted.
It's true that I don't have high-level captains, but I have my strength.
Jaya ha ha ha. Shiki laughed.
Ha, you're right, Kaido poured a barrel of sake into his mouth at once.
Oh, what is this? He exclaimed in shock, upon seeing the majestic sight of straw hats in the manga.
Shiki's eyebrows rose, as the sake continued to spill onto the ground instead of into his mouth.
Ohara.
Fufufu, these kids, they are really creative, Doflamingo laughed wickedly upon seeing the amazing scene in the manga.
Ha ha.
You're the kid here, Mingo, the sound came from behind Doflamingo, startling him and his brother and Enel.
Teacher? When did you arrive? Rosinante was surprised. It turned out that the owner of the voice was their teacher, Rob. I just arrived. It turns out that you guys are very late reading the volume. Some people have already started leaving, Rob said with a smile, pointing to some customers who were exiting the art detective with satisfied smiles. If I hadn't added the law of not talking about manga events out loud inside the art store, all the events would have been spoiled for you guys, huh? Teacher, we have come across an amazing scene. Luffy and his nakama are seriously cool. I started to like pistols and rocket launchers. Rosinante commented enthusiastically. Fufu, they've turned into a mafia group, laughed Daffy. Interesting, the expression on Shiki's face is amusing, huh? Enel mocked Shiki. Darling, you're back. Suddenly Alvia's voice came from behind Rob, putting a smile on his face. Chapter 483, Cool Entry, Part 2. One Piece Events. Shiki-sama. While performing the sake ritual with the subordinate crews, Shiki was disturbed by the arrival of a subordinate running towards him. You dare interrupt at a time like this? Shiki said with annoyance. I'm sorry, sir. There's something you need to know right away. The subordinate arrived in front of Shiki and whispered to him in a low voice about the current situation accurately. Only 8? Just take them down, said Shiki. The thing is. The subordinate was at a loss how to tell his boss that they could not do anything against these 8. They completely defeated them. Straw Hats majestically, in new all-black outfits, walked down the hall of the palace, straight towards the main hall where the Shiki and the leaders of the subordinate crews gather. Using the observation haki, Shiki already saw their arrival. Immediately after that, a part of the wall was cut off. You have no flair, said Sanji. This is how you do it. Wait. Usopp panicked. At the end, with a kick from Sanji, the second half of the wooden wall was opened to form a spacious entrance. Seeing this, Shiki's hair raises up, purifying how angry he was at this moment. Frankie, Usopp, and Sanji entered on the right flank, while on the left flank stood Zoro, Robin, Brook, and Chopper in his huge form. All of them were dressed in black and carried various types of firearms in addition to their original weapons. Then little by little, the boss, Monkey D. Luffy, appeared, between the two sides as proudly walking towards the front. With his black robe, he really looked like a pirate king. So it was you guys. What a surprise. Shiki put his cigar in his mouth again and said with an indifferent expression. The group of Straw Hats began to move forward carelessly. Luffy spoke, Are you going to attack the East Blue? Yeah, replied Shiki. Part of the straw hat covered Luffy's left eye while his right eye, which was shining with a violent light, appeared. Is Nami okay? Asked Luffy. Hearing Nami's name, Shiki smiled, Yeah. She's doing great. The pirates on the side laughed wickedly. Jahahaha. You look dangerous. But you don't think the 8 of you can take on all of them, do you? Shiki asked sarcastically. As soon as his voice fell, the boards on the sides were exposed and hundreds of pirates with cold weapons appeared. A girl in a fairy tale world who thinks she can save her hometown by sacrificing herself, and a reckless suicide squad that came to die with her, said Shiki. You're an idiot, Nami didn't sacrifice herself. She came here to fight as our vanguard, that's all. As soon as Luffy's voice fell, his comrades pointed their weapons at the enemies. Be prepared, Shiki the Golden Lion. We're the main force, exclaimed Luffy. With this, the raid of Straw Hats with bullets began. Shiki's mouth opened wide and his tongue drooped from the intensity of the shock, as he exclaimed, Huh! Kaido burst into laughter until tears filled his eyes, saying, Worororo. The expression on your face is priceless. Are you wondering how this happened? That's what the plot armor means. Being a joy boy means that, right? Albert, it seems like you were mistaken about me. I don't have that kind of plot armor. Kaido's face bore a meaningful smile as he spoke to the king. Kaido-san. Upon hearing Kaido's words, King's forehead twitched. Shiki was too engrossed in the manga's climax to pay attention to Kaido's conversation with his subordinate.
That look on Luffy's face just terrifies me when I see it in the manga.
Shiki exclaimed. Jahahaha. These kids are really fun.
Oh, except for Skeleton Brook, all the Straw Hats are just kids compared to me. Dr. Indigo, go and change the walls of my mansion into steel walls, he exclaimed.
Ohara. What a wonderful entry. This scene gave me goosebumps. My tongue can't describe how amazing it is. Look how majestic Luffy looks. I see the shadow of the Pirate King on him. Amazing. Horrible. They really showered them with bullets. This is a massacre. When did Luffy and his buddies become members of the Mafia? I bet with my right kidney after I lost my left kidney in the previous bet that it's Robin's idea. Come on, come on. It's clear that Robin-chan came up with the idea, but where did they get the costumes and weapons from? Oh, then I'll bet it's Frankie this time. Shiki still doesn't put Luffy in his eyes. I want to see the expression on his face when he is defeated. This motherfucker dared to hurt Nami-san. We are the main force. What an aphorism. Readers' enthusiasm intensified upon arrival at this epic spectacle. Rob smiled while hearing all that. He was surrounded by all the waitresses including Alvia and Bella. In sexy maid clothes, Alvia looked just like Graphia, which made Rob hug her deeper in his chest and whisper in her ear. I'm going to make sure we have another baby tonight. When Bella heard that, she puffed her cheek like a typical tsundere and looked at the other side angrily. Rob felt fun from seeing this scene. Hey, is my beautiful Bella jealous? I have something great to tell you too today, so there's no need. This time Rob whispered seductively in Belmir's ear, stopped only when he saw the red shadow under her eyes. In his luck, they looked just like improved versions of Graphia and Rias. On the side, Gloriosa, Otoheim, and Melona all wanted to dive into his bosom, but unfortunately, there was not enough space. I'm going to please all of you tonight, so there's no need to worry, dear ones. Now, tell me, how was the outcome of the day? Has there been any problem? Rob regained his serious expression and asked about what he missed at the Ohara art store. The first and most famous and magnificent art store in the world. Well, dear, nothing bad happened. That the readers at some point lost their temper and cursed at Shiki over and over again. Alvia began to summarize what happened when he was absent. Chapter 484, Bullets Raid. The way Luffy said, "Are you going to attack the East Blue?" sent an unusual emotional shiver through the bodies of the residents of East Blue who were reading today's volume in particular. In every art store, every corner where manga copies are sold, legal or illegal, everyone fell silent. Tears of pride and a sense of protection flowed from men, women, young, and old who followed the journey of the child from East Blue to the Grand Line. Yeah. This was Golden Lion Shiki's answer, simple and inconsiderate. Why? This was the question that everyone from East Blue was asking internally at that moment. Why were they being targeted? Why were they exactly in Golden Lion's plan? Was it only because Roger was executed in East Blue? It seemed unreasonable. What was the guilt of the residents of East Blue for what the world government had done and decided? Negative feelings and great hatred rose in the hearts of the residents of East Blue toward Shiki. In the future, if the residents of East Blue were asked about the most hated person in their hearts, they would not say Akainu, Blackbeard, or anyone else, but rather the Golden Lion Shiki. This crazy man wanted, for no apparent reason, to destroy East Blue with these terrifying mutant monsters. He had specially customized a 20-year plan for their extermination. There was no doubt that the residents of East Blue were horrified by the outcome of the village on Golden Lion Island, which was destroyed by the army of monsters in an instant. If that happened to them, there would be no way to stop all the bleeding. Be prepared, Shiki the Golden Lion. We're the main force. As soon as these words were said, the state of mind of the residents of East Blue went into chaos. Dawn Island, Green Paradise, formerly Grey Terminal. A resident of the Goa Kingdom with bloodshot eyes and an excited face shouted, "That's what it means to be a pirate." Another reader exclaimed, "Long live Luffy! Long live the Straw Hat Pirates," unable to muffle the surging enthusiasm in his heart. This is the feeling of protection. What a wonderful feeling! How many wonderful pirate crews have come out of the East Blue towards the Grand Line? The Straw Hat Pirate crew is the only one that has not forgotten its roots. A kind noble, apparently familiar with Garp, commented with a laugh, "Pirates are doing the role of the Navy." Ha 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 ha. No doubt Garp will be proud of his grandson. What an epic journey of straw hats. I wish they could bring down the legend of the Golden Lion. Fu Sha Town. Ha ha. Luffy and his crew will defeat the evil Golden Lion, exclaimed Makino with a sweet laugh, as she read the events of the manga. Despite being only 4 years old, she gave off a sense of maturity that amazed everyone around her, including her parents, Father Merkar and Mother Camila. Do you think so too, Makino-chan? Mother Camila poked Makino's cute cheeks and asked her affectionately. Absolutely. Luffy is incredibly strong and has never lost twice in a row. He always defeats his opponents after the first loss. We've seen this happen many times before. Makino's delicate voice was a joy to hear. The cute scene put a smile on Father Merkar's face. I support Makino-chan's point of view. Luffy will beat the Golden Lion in this fight. Whoop Slap declared. I feel the same way. As long as Makino-chan has said it, it's already settled, chimed in the other customers in the art store. Well, let's start praying for the soul of the Golden Lion so that he rots in hell, joked one of the customers. Oops, didn't you forget that Luffy never kills his enemies, reminded another. Seriously, let's not get too immersed in the events of the manga, or we might start confusing it with reality. The real Golden Lion is much scarier at this point, cautioned someone else. Makino's enthusiastic words sparked another endless argument among the One Piece fans in the art store, which was located in the hometown of the protagonist, Monkey D. Luffy. West Blue, O'Hara. BFT. Ha ha ha. Look at how cute Robin looks as she bombards her enemies with a bazooka, Alvia laughed while in the arms of her husband. Merciless like her mother when she grabs a gun, isn't she? Rob replied with a smile. Ha ha. I can still use a gun. My shooting skills are at the master level. Obviously, Alvia was a little under the influence of wine, so she was getting excited. Dad. I want to see that. Let me see how I can look cute on the battlefield. Rob looked down and found his cute daughter still clinging to his right leg. Ha ha. Nothing can stand in the way of my little Robin cuteness. Rob said with a smile as he patted little Robin's head. And me? Will I someday appear in manga like my sister Robin, older sister Hancock, Sonia, Marigold, and Makino? The little voice came from his left leg, which a two-horned little girl was clinging to. With a pitiful look on Yamato's face, she said. Oh, for sure the day will come when little Yamato will appear, said Rob, smiling. Is that true, Birdie? She shouted with stars in her eyes. Has Birdie lied to you before? Rob asked as he patted Yamato's head. Meanwhile, in a private room where the quartet Brook, Vegapunk, Clover, and Saul were resting, Brook's pleasant laughter resounded. Yah-ho-ho-ho. This is fun. Look at how my manga version enjoys shooting bullets. Brook laughed uproariously while seeing the action scene in the manga. Ha ha ha. Shiki just watches helplessly and powerlessly, Clover said. Truly, I envy you, Brook, for joining such a wonderful crew. Saul laughed uproariously too. Here they are out of bullets. What will happen now? Vegapunk wondered. Chapter 485, Nami's sacrifices for her homeland continue even in the Grand Line. One Piece events. TCH, I'm out of ammunition. Frankie threw his weapons when he ran out of bullets. There are still quite a few of them, said Sanji. That was just a little something to start things off, said Zoro. Sanji and Zoro also threw their firearms for the same reason as Frankie. Usopp. Chopper. Go find Nami. Luffy gave his orders. Okay. Got it. Chopper and Usopp said and started running away from the battlefield. Get those little pests. Kill them all. One of Shiki's pirate leaders ordered his remaining men. Captain Shiki, to the back room. Shiki's subordinate said.
Okay, Shiki knew that fighting in his palace was a bad idea, so he thought of changing the battlefield first. But Luffy did not let him leave easily, as he chased him immediately under the protection of Robin and Brook, who opened the way for him.
Did you do something to my crew member?
Luffy was really angry every time he thought about Nami's suffering under Shiki's hands, so he gave him a strong punch that sent him flying. Shiki continued to fly through the hallway using his ability to leave the palace as quickly as possible, while his subordinates continued to block Luffy's path. Don't bother our captain, Zoro took care of Dr. Indigo.
We're telling you to stay out of the way. Sanji took care of the gorilla, too. Boom! This is unacceptable!
Roared the Golden Lion as he crushed his hand on the table in the art store, which only resulted in pain for him.
Damn it! Why isn't this old man fighting back?
Did he allow him to punch him in the face and just swallow it and run away?
Shiki couldn't believe what he was seeing in the manga. Is that really me?
If it were me, I wouldn't care about the palace or anything else. If I were hit, I would crush the hand that punched me.
Shiki's eyes turned red with anger.
It seems like your observation haki has become rusty at your current age in the manga, commented Kaido. Even he found Shiki's face punch seemed to be ridiculous.
Wasn't this the famous Golden Lion who was punched by a pirate who didn't even know how to use haki yet? This was truly unbelievable. Could it be that I am under the influence of what is called the plot armor? Is my fate really being defeated?
This time, Shiki questioned calmly. Perhaps.
Kaido nodded.
At this point, Kaido was sure that Joy Boy was Luffy, so it was not surprising that he had such a strong fate.
He even doubted the possibility of defeating Luffy in the future if their paths crossed. Don't tell me I'm going to lose in such a pathetic way. Where is my haki? Where is my extraordinary swordsmanship skill? All I'm using is the fruit's ability.
Why is this?
Shiki's confusion only increased and did not subside. Ohara. Nami looks at bad state in the manga. When will they save her?
Belmere still feels sorrowful for everything that has happened to Nami so far in this volume. Don't worry, just keep reading calmly, my dear. However, Rob's continued upbringing prevented her from feeling any negative emotions.
That's how it is. Billy has finally arrived. He'll save her again, won't he? Oh, what a wonderful bird.
Belmere laughed excitedly at the sight of Billy appearing near Nami, who was still trapped between the iron rods.
This bird is just as amazing as my own birdie.
Yamato exclaimed enthusiastically while hugging the same bird that used to deliver manga volumes to her in the past. Of course, it was still a creation of the paper fruit.
Ha ha.
Maybe Billy and Birdie can get a foothold in the Pokemon world. Rob commented briefly. The Pokemon world, everyone who heard him wondered. Oh, it's a wonderful world that has cute and strong animals like Billy.
Billy.
Nami lifted her head with difficulty to see the glowing bird had already knocked out the Shiki subordinates guarding her.
Did you do that? She asked. Billy nodded in agreement. I have a favor to ask. Hear me out. Nami held onto Billy's feather despite being shocked by the electricity. Stay like this. Please. Listen to me. Chopper, do you smell anything? Usopp asked as he rode on Chopper in his reindeer form.
No, my nose isn't working well because of the daft green particles in the air, replied Chopper.
Damn.
Suddenly, Usopp noticed a bright glow in the distance behind the daft green trees surrounding the palace. There she is. I see Nami, exclaimed Usopp.
What? Chopper was surprised and pleased.
Back where Nami and Billy were, the bird was using his electrical charge to ignite the bombs placed on the daft green trees as Nami instructed.
Nami! Will you take this with you? Nojiko removed her bracelet and threw it toward Nami with a smile. Have fun. As Nami thought, she recalled some precious memories. It's okay. Don't worry. I won't let my precious hometown get destroyed. East Blue, Kokoyashi Town. This Do we deserve this? Said one of Kokoyashi residents with teary eyes.
My little Nami, this scene warms my heart more than any other scene I have seen in my life.
Nami is really doing everything in her power to stop Shiki from executing his plan.
What a strong girl she is. An old woman, who was one of Nami's biggest fans because she had the same dream in the past, cried.
She won't be affected by the explosion, right?
She won't sacrifice herself to make the monsters attack the palace. Another reader felt afraid for Nami's fate in the manga. Usopp and Chopper are already on their way, they will save her, don't worry.
And Billy is there too. I don't think she will want to sacrifice herself. Nami and Nojiko are like bloodbound sisters, what a real bond. I wish Nojiko could also be part of the crew. Me too, I don't know why Nojiko doesn't have a dream like Nami.
This is not fair. Anyway, I hope nothing bad happens to Nami. At least, she represents our town, Kokoyashi, as a heroine in One Piece manga.
Upon hearing some young men and women talking about Nami and Nojiko, Genzo and Dr. Neko were upset.
Even Zeph and his crew, who were listening to this nonsense, were annoyed.
You newcomers here do not represent Nami in any way, shape, or form.
We do not love Nami because she is a heroine in One Piece, but because she is the heroine in our hearts.
Nami's sacrifices for this place cannot be measured by emotion or anything else. Her purity and kindness are something that cannot be attained by ordinary people. She is an angel. Through the manga, we realized this even before she appeared in this village that later became a town, until people like you came to live in it.
Remember this well, we do not care whether Nami is a One Piece manga heroine or not, we care about her because she is Nami.
Genzo said everything, leaving the young newcomers in the town sweating with worry. Chapter 486. Shiki and Luffy face to face once again. One Piece events. Boom!
Once Chopper and Usopp arrived, the explosives that had been placed on the trees of Duft Green exploded, causing them to fly away due to the impact of the blast.
Ouch! Somehow we're still alive. Where's Nami? Said Chopper in a panic.
They quickly found Nami lying on the ground weakly and ran towards her.
Nami! Nami! Hold on, exclaimed Chopper. You okay? We're gonna get you out of here,
said Usopp, trying to pull the pillars around Nami. These bruises are the same ones Zhao's grandmother had. She needs to be treated right away. Noticed Chopper the green spots on Nami's body and decided she needed urgent medical attention. Suddenly, he and Usopp noticed a horde of monsters running toward them in the distance.
This is, said Usopp. Is it what I think it is? Wondered Chopper. At a busy time like this, we have to take Nami and run. They quickly took Nami and ran.
Without any Duft Green obstructing the way, the mutated monsters swept through the Golden Lion Palace.
What is it? Frankie wondered about the reason for the place's vibration.
But in less than a few minutes, he found himself being chased by the familiar monsters that were wreaking havoc in the palace.
Yahohoho. 3-verse humming. Arrow notch slash.
Brook was able to easily cut through the flying insect. But Robin struggled against a giant butterfly, which she defeated with difficulty, but after being exposed to its toxic spray, this situation was taken advantage of by Shiki's gorilla.
Ohara.
Nami is in critical condition, it seems like she's struggling to breathe, commented one reader inside the art store. No need to worry, Chopper has arrived. Since he already knows about the illness from Zhao's grandmother's case, he will definitely find a way to cure Nami, replied another reader with a high spirit. That's if they can escape from the raging monsters.
Look, many of them are coming. Come on. They're everywhere. Oh my god, these monsters really don't distinguish between enemies and allies. I can imagine the ugliness on Shiki's face right now, huh?
He had the chance to remove the explosives when he discovered Nami's plan before, but he didn't remove them and just restrained Nami.
He's a complete idiot. Is he really the main villain of this arc? Why is he so stupid?
You're right, I find villains like Crocodile, Enel, Rob Lucci, and Moria more difficult to deal with than him.
Seriously, we all know he's suffering from dementia.
A great pirate like him would be impossible for a newcomer to the Grand Line to defeat, so.
Flying Island, Merville. Achoo.
I've been sneezing too much since this volume was published.
Shiki wiped the dripping mucus from his nose and looked at the manga events he had reached so far with a lukewarm expression. Maybe they're laughing at your unusual stupidity in the manga, Warororo. Kaido laughed at his pitiful ally. TSK. Shiki was annoyed by Kaido's nonsense, but he bore it.
You promised me, Kaido, that you would help me remove this steering wheel from my head and heal my wounds, isn't that right? Don't worry, I have more efficient subordinates than yours, Kaido said confidently. Shiki wanted to deny that, but he couldn't find the right words.
To say the truth, Kaido was right.
Shiki became speechless when he saw the mutated animals causing chaos inside his palace. Veins appeared on his forehead before he cursed loudly, "Damn each and every one of you, straw hats!"
Warororo. Kaido couldn't stop laughing.
It seems your end in the manga is approaching, old lion.
Not good.
She's just barely breathing, said Chopper urgently. We have to do something quickly, he added.
Billy, exclaimed Usopp, noticing the arrival of the electric bird.
Billy looked saddened by Nami's condition.
The only cure for this illness is the IQ plant. Shiki took them all, explained Chopper.
What? Where is he keeping them? Asked Usopp, looking at the massive palace.
Boom!
Suddenly, the house they were standing on exploded.
Ouch! How's Nami?
Usopp asked, concerned.
Somehow she wasn't hurt, replied Chopper.
Shiki, exclaimed Usopp. Shiki stood in the air in front of them like the god of death. Now you've done it, girl, Shiki said angrily.
You want to die that badly, huh? I don't want you anymore.
I'm going to crush the East Blue, no matter how hard you try to stop me. A huge water lion appeared next to Shiki immediately after he finished speaking, followed by a second, then a third, and so on until the sixth.
We're surrounded!
Usopp exclaimed in fear.
Lions threat Imperial Earthbind. Shiki announced the name of his attack. The terrifying roar of the water lions attacked the trio.
We're screwed, cried Usopp. Fall into disrepair and die. It was clear that Shiki intended to drown them to death.
Crap! Damn it!
Suddenly, the huge water lions disappeared and scattered due to fast hand attacks. A shadow of pink steam appeared in the background. In the end, it turned out to be Luffy, standing in front of his crew like an immovable rock. Steam rose from his body, indicating that he was in his second gear. The expression on his face was terrifying, to say the least.
Luffy, exclaimed Chopper and Usopp.
Marine Ford.
Wahahaha. My angry grandson, that means your ass is gonna get beat, Golden Lion, laughed Garp warmly before commenting. Do you really think Luffy will defeat Shiki without haki, Garp? Asked Sengoku.
Shiki's haki is so weak that it seems non-existent for some reason.
I can see that in the manga.
So what do you think he will win with, Sengoku? Said Garp. Due to the feature of returning attention to art, even after being attacked by Rob's frightening attack and suffering heavy losses, where the place they were sitting was now almost completely collapsed, Sengoku and the others focused on the manga and did not care about their current situation. So Sengoku was reading the manga and discussing its contents, ignoring his pain. Even if Shiki doesn't use his haki, it will be difficult for Luffy to defeat him unless he's in nightmare form like he used to defeat Moria, but there are no shadows to use it here, Tsuru said calmly. Oh, that nightmare form was great. I wish Luffy could use it permanently, sigh. Unfortunately, Garp felt sad. Anyway, I bet on my grandson's victory. Anyone who wants to bet otherwise, go ahead, declared Garp.
Huff, huff.
I'll bet with you. Suddenly, Akainu entered the dilapidated room, walking with some difficulty while holding his severed left arm. It turned out he was the second one to wake up after the previous setback.
I'll bet on Shiki's victory. What are we betting on? Said Akainu convincingly.
Wahahaha.
We'll bet on half our possessions. Garp announced it shockingly.
It was clear that he trusted his grandson very much.
Chapter 487. Are elderly characters weak or is Shiki an exception? One Piece events. Still pointlessly trying, huh? Shiki was annoyed by Luffy's arrival.
At that moment, Nami regained consciousness and opened her eyes with difficulty.
Nami, I'm gonna beat the crap out of him and we're gonna go home, Luffy turned to Nami. Luffy? Nami closed her eyes again after seeing Luffy. Leave him to me.
Take care of Nami, Luffy gave his orders to Chopper and Usopp.
Oh okay, exclaimed Usopp.
Get him, Luffy, added Chopper.
No matter where you go.
Your fate won't change and you're all going to die, said Shiki. Hearing this, Luffy prepared for battle and his aura rose to the sky. Don't you determine our fate for us, he exclaimed. Then in a blink of an eye, Luffy appeared in front of Shiki, Jet.
Pistol. And punched him in the stomach until blood splattered out.
Luffy sent Shiki flying with a strong punch.
Billy. I need your help. Luffy relied on Billy's back to fly and fight against a flying enemy like Shiki. I won't let you go to the East Blue, shouted Luffy. After regaining his posture, Shiki said, you're getting on my nerves. I'm not going to go easy on a man from East Blue. This damned Garp's grandson.
How could you make me spit blood with just one punch?
Am I too weak in the manga? This is unbelievable. The author did this on purpose. This is not me. Damn it.
He had been patient, but there were limits to patience. Finally, the Golden Lion could not bear to see such scenes in the manga.
Where is my real power, damn it? Didn't we see how I fought with Garp and Sengoku and destroyed half of Marineford at the beginning of the volume? Where is that power? Why is there no trace of it here at the end of the volume?
Confusion filled Shiki's expression as he looked at the scene of Luffy standing with him in a necktie, even managing to send him flying with a punch. Normally, an attack like this, no matter how fast it is impossible to touch him because he possesses strong observation haki, while the other party doesn't have it at all. Something went wrong here, or was he not using observation haki? Why? You've become so weak it's pathetic, Shiki-o. I'm starting to think about defeating you and taking everything that belongs to you and ending this ridiculous alliance, Kaido spoke with mockery. Hearing that, Shiki's forehead trembled. Suddenly, a yellow glow exploded from his eyes with a dense halo carrying a suffocating pressure. Before this suffocating pressure could make anyone faint, the art store managed to catch it and return it to its owner with heavy penalties by deducting many behavior points. If his points reached a certain level, he would not be able to take advantage of some of the many features of the art store. Ha! How long has it been since you released your Conqueror's Haki? Many years have passed since I felt the real Golden Lion, Kaido chuckled, retracting everything he said earlier. Anyway, it seems that 20 years of not training and relaxing can weaken anyone, no matter how strong they are. That's what happened to you in the manga, old lion. That won't happen in reality. I won't let myself become weaker, I'll become stronger. On board the Oro Jackson in the New World. Is that really the Golden Lion? Buggy's mouth hung open in shock. Why do I feel like he's not much stronger than my manga version? Buggy wondered seriously, which made everyone burst out laughing, including Roger himself. Ha 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 ha. Wah ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Seriously, if the Golden Lion heard this, he would die of frustration. What? Are you making fun of Buggy? Why don't we make a bet? When Buggy reaches the current age of the Golden Lion, he will surpass him by far. He won't be like Buggy in his first appearance in the manga. Rayleigh spoke seriously after laughing for a while. Anyway, this is really strange. What was said in the manga about Shiki doesn't match reality. Did something happen to him in those 20 years? Even Roger found the situation somewhat strange. I mean, the Golden Lion can't be this weak. Even if he becomes too old, it's impossible for Luffy to make him spit blood with a punch. That's really strange, Captain. After all, this is the Golden Lion we're talking about. Just a while ago, our crews were on the same level.
And he even had some advantage, Gabon said. Where am I in all of this? Why do I have so few appearances in the manga?
Shanks also shook his head in frustration. Even as an emperor, he could count the number of times he appeared in the manga on one hand.
Sphinx Island. What's the situation with the Golden Lion? Is this the evil plan he came to tell me about before he secluded himself for 20 years? Whitebird's eyes contained disdain and annoyance. Has this man lost his dream and will because of Roger's execution? Is he that kind of man?
Upon hearing what their father said, his sons burst into a fit of laughter.
Ha 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 ha. Ra ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Your jokes are killing me, Oyaji.
Marco wiped away the tears that had formed from the previous bout of laughter.
This is not the Shiki we knew. Look, he's still being beaten by the angry Luffy.
Ace's brother has tremendous potential. If Shiki is defeated, it will pave the way for him to become the best.
I really want to take him as my son in the manga. Garararara. Whitebeard really enjoyed the events of the manga.
Let's see where this goes. All the signs point to your defeat, Shiki.
Oyaji, does this mean the Golden Lion will die in the manga? Vista wondered.
Well, for old characters like Shiki and me, defeat means death without a doubt. If you see my death in the manga, don't be sad, my sons.
Upon hearing that, the hearts of Whitebeard's sons clenched. Who can defeat the strongest man in the world?
Ha, what a joke. Mature Stussy laughed dryly, pressing on his hand with concern.
Chapter 488, Lean's Hope. Zoro's Ferocity. New World, Whole Cake Island.
Inside the Whole Cake Chateau, an elderly short man stood next to Lin, wearing a chef's outfit and carrying a short sword in his hand. In front of them was a huge chocolate cake that Lin was eyeing from time to time while drooling. You still have to wait a little, Lin.
The cake is not yet complete.
Ha, sigh, I didn't expect to see the great Golden Lion Shiki in such a tight spot in the manga. The man who was making the cake, and who was responsible for the emergence of Big Mom's pirate crew, was Strusen. He is currently 69 years old. A nostalgic look appeared on Strusen's face as he read the manga. After all, he was a former member of the Rock's crew alongside Shiki.
This Golden Lion is just useless trash, don't be sad about him. The most important thing is to hurry up and finish this cake, Strusen. It looks delicious, mama.
Since she was a child, Lin had an abnormal appetite for sweets, which never diminished even after she matured and acquired a slim body. For her, the Golden Lion Shiki is nothing compared to the chocolate cake that Strusen is making in front of her.
Don't you feel like the author has something against our former crew members?
At first, Captain John was shown as a moving corpse in the hands of a weak pirate like Moria, and now he's making the great pirate Shiki look like a chicken against the Straw Hat Luffy.
That's not reassuring for us.
I hope our relationship with him as allies will be strengthened, Lin.
Haven't you already succeeded in arousing his instinct for you? Upon hearing that, Lin became annoyed.
After all, she had done everything in her power, but she couldn't make the man give her a second glance. The wall he put between them only grew thicker year after year. Although she had already stopped sleeping with other men and having children since she told him about it.
Don't be discouraged. Keep pushing him toward the edge.
The upcoming tea party is an opportunity not to be missed, Lin.
If you can win his full favor, we won't have to worry about the waves of the manga era.
As he is the only person who can help you solve the bloody conflict with the giants, Strusen added.
One Piece events.
What is this place? Asked Usopp as he and Chopper carried Nami on his back into a vast greenhouse.
They're all IQ plants.
They're using moonlight to grow them, Chopper explained.
I smell chemicals.
Chopper ran up the stairs to the upper floor and Usopp followed closely.
So this is where they're doing research on IQ, Chopper said. The duo entered the research room and began searching for anything that could help. Which one do we give her? Usopp asked. An enemy, suddenly he exclaimed.
They were both surprised when they saw Dr. Indigo.
Pyro, laughed Dr. Indigo. You smell like chemicals. You must be a scientist. Chopper said.
Yes, a very good one, replied Dr. Indigo.
Give us the cure for Daft. Chopper demanded. Pyro 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 pyro. Why should I? You idiot. Dr. Indigo retorted. This is what you want, right? I always carry it around for emergencies. Dr. Indigo pulled out a small pink bottle containing the medicine. Well, that's easy then. We just have to take that drug away from him. Stay out of the way. I'm gonna slash him to shreds. At that moment, Zoro arrived. Ohara. Can this even be called a research room? The equipment here is extremely poor.
No wonder it took them 20 years to develop something. Dr. Vegapunk's long tongue kept expressing his dissatisfaction.
Is this research room really bad? Professor Clover asked a serious question. Brooke and Saul focused on the duo's conversation to gain some insight.
Of course, the world government won't allow the most advanced research items to be released to the market. Even in the black market, only a few can be found, and that's what the Golden Lion Shiki succeeded in providing to his scientist.
Well, did he say he's a good scientist?
Seeing Dr. Indigo praising himself as a good scientist, Dr. Vegapunk wanted to hit his head against the wall of the art store and commit suicide. This foolish clown reminds me of Caesar, or rather a cheap imitation of him.
Caesar is much more talented than him. Ha!
He even has this acidic devil fruit, surprised Vegapunk.
Caesar? Who is he? Brooke wondered. Have you heard of MADS before, Brooke?
Before Vegapunk explained, Saul took the initiative to explain.
Mads?
I hadn't heard of it when I was alive, but after my death, I was trapped in the Devil's Sea for decades, so I didn't hear about it even after my death.
What does it mean? Said Brooke.
It's the laboratory for peace that was active 6 years ago before the world government closed it.
The Peace Laboratory was a sacred place for scientists.
The scientists who were there produced many inventions that made our lives easier.
Vegapunk here was the leader of that laboratory.
Caesar Clown, whom he speaks of, is one of the members of the laboratory and is now the only member of MADS who still works with the government after Vegapunk's resignation.
Saul explained everything in one breath.
As a former vice admiral, he was not an ignorant person, and these were common knowledge. Especially, 6 years was not long enough for the world to forget the favor that the MADS organization had done for them.
Sigh, you make me nostalgic. Vegapunk sighed. Yahohoho. Zoro has arrived.
This foolish scientist has already revealed the drug.
Now Zoro will do the rest. It's good that Nami will recover. Zoro is here, finally. How did he find this research lab without getting lost? Otoheim wondered. Hora hora horo. Even my little Perona is surprised.
How cute you are, my little one. Melona laughed after hearing that, and her smile widened even more when she saw her newborn baby laughing in her arms. Seeing this scene made Rob lightly tap Perona's forehead and want to hug her.
And that's something Melona didn't stop him from doing. At this stage, Rob was like a father to Perona.
On the other side, Belmir was focused on the exciting manga events that had already reached their final stages.
Finally.
Belmir sighed after seeing Zoro use the Azura Demon Aura in his battle against Dr. Indigo. This means the battle will end. As expected, the battle ended and Chopper obtained the medicine that Zoro threw. My dear Nami has been saved, Belmir wiped tears of joy.
Chapter 489, is it the same scenario for dropping the Golden Lion? One Piece events. Robin-chan.
Sanji's rage boiled over upon seeing a hideous gorilla holding the unconscious Robin and attempting to kiss her.
What? Do you want to marry Robin-chan? You?
Damn perverted gorilla, exclaimed Sanji, his eyes blazing with fury flame.
You understand what he said? Brooke was shocked. You did it, you damn perverted gorilla.
Sanji crushed his cigarette and began running towards the building where the perverted gorilla was standing.
You laid your hands on a lady in front of my eyes. To start with, you guys don't know who you're messing with.
In less than a second, Sanji had arrived, just before the gorilla could succeed in kissing Robin.
You're going to overthrow which sea, did you say? Do you know how many ladies there are in the East Blue? Diable jam. Vinizo shoot.
Sanji bombarded the gorilla with dozens of fiery kicks, sending him crashing through the ceiling and down to his defeat.
That's the East Blue's flavor of love. Oops. Robin-chan.
Sanji ran towards Robin, who was falling, but unfortunately, Brook beat him to her.
Yah-ho-ho-ho. Are you all right, mademoiselle? Said Brook. Yes. Thank you, replied Robin. You took the good part.
I'm gonna shear off your flesh, you damn jerk.
Sanji was truly angry.
I don't have any flesh you can shear off, replied Brook.
Yah-ho-ho-ho-ho. Brook laughed until tears came to his eyes, finding the scene he had just witnessed incredibly comical. Darashishishi.
You took the good part of Sanji's epic. It's not surprising that he'll end up hating you as he hates Zoro after this. Sol burst out laughing, as it was impossible not to be amused by the previous scene. After all, the laughter of many manga readers who had read the same scene could be heard.
Ha ha ha. Sanji's luck is so frustrating.
He crushed the perverted gorilla and saved Robin from his clutches. The scene was supposed to end in the best possible way for him if he had held on to Robin, but Robin's father had another idea. Clover also laughed and was almost certain that Rob had also laughed when drawing this scene.
Ha ha. Adding Brook to the crew was a brilliant idea.
His actions are extremely funny, Vegapunk expressed his thoughts.
Yah-ho-ho-ho. Sanji is so angry that he wants to tear my flesh from my bones.
Fortunately, I have no flesh, Brook added with a chuckle.
Daddy. Everyone is laughing while talking about me, Brook, and Sanji. Why?
At that moment, Rob was carrying the little baby, Perona, while accompanied by both Robin and Yamato, as the women had already left to attend to their work duties. That's because my little Robin is renowned for her beauty and sweet personality in the manga, and everyone wants to save you if you're ever in trouble, Rob said with a smile as he tousled her soft hair. But I have Daddy to save me if I'm in trouble. I don't need the big perverts, Uncle Skeleton and Sanji, to save me, humph. Little Robin pouted like a little lady, as if expressing her rejection, then hurried to hug her father's leg, as she often did.
Ha ha ha.
Of course, no one will have the opportunity to save you in this world, not now and not in the future.
I'm the only one who can do that.
Rob truly enjoyed his life as a father to Nico Robin, and the more she grew up, the more he loved her. She was like the stars in the sky, lighting up his life at all times and pushing him to work hard every day. Anyway, I'll tell you a little secret, my dear, don't call Sanji a pervert anymore. That kid will become your brother in 9 months. As soon as he said that, Robin and Yamato's eyes widened in shock.
At any rate, Nami's safety comes before anything else, said someone.
As she woke up, Nami heard Usopp's loud voice. You're right, said Chopper this time, and then she opened her eyes.
Where am I? Asked Nami. Nami. Oh, good. You're up. The antidote must be working, said Usopp. Did you come to rescue me? Nami asked weakly. Of course. Not just us, either. Zoro, Sanji, Robin, Frankie, Brook, and Luffy.
They all came, said Usopp excitedly.
Hearing that, Nami burst into tears. Thanks. Come on.
This is no time to cry, Usopp said in annoyance.
Yeah. I know. If we don't defeat Shiki, the East Blue will be,
Nami began to say, but she felt the weather changing on the island.
This is... Stop, she exclaimed. What, Nami?
Chopper and Usopp stopped.
A storm is coming, said Nami. What? The pressure is decreasing.
I bet there's a huge cloud nearby, Nami explained.
Let's go back to the palace. What? Exclaimed Chopper and Usopp. Merville Island.
At this point, Shiki's golden lion eyes turned red with anger. He was so angry that he began to consider attacking the East Blue now and crushing all possibilities of the Straw Hat Pirate's appearance.
What? A storm! A storm is coming! Damn it! Does this world want to make me lose every time in the same way?
As soon as Nami said what she noticed, Shiki smelled something strange. It was clear that he felt familiar with the subject of storms.
Warorororo. Wow, how unlucky you are, Shiki. You should be careful. This time the steering wheel might get stuck in your butt because it's already stuck in your head. Kaido mocked Shiki again. Damn you, Kaido. What do you mean by your nonsense? Do you want to fight? Let's get out of the art store then. I've had enough of this.
Finally, Shiki exploded in anger. He could no longer bear Kaido's constant contempt.
Fine, let's go out. Do you think I'll be afraid of an old lion like you, huh? Chapter 490, The Golden Lion's Stupidity. Rouge's Obsession. One Piece Events. Billy, you okay?
The fierce battle between Luffy and Shiki continued, but Luffy was worried that Billy would be hurt by the intensity of the fight.
Billy nodded earnestly.
It's time to end this, said Shiki before using the sword in his leg to perform a sword skill. Slashing wave. With a single slash, a large part of the sea was cut off as if it were floating.
Shiki used the severed part of the floating sea to trap Luffy and Billy inside it, which he successfully did. Jahahaha.
The battle's over, kid, declared Shiki with a triumphant expression on his face. Suddenly, the Den Mushi in his pocket began to ring.
Navigation team calling Shiki-sama. Navigation team calling Shiki-sama.
What is it? Replied Shiki.
Please turn the island to the east.
A storm is coming, said the navigator.
A storm? Shiki wondered and felt a foreboding in his heart.
In the navigation team's section dedicated to Shiki.
Is that what you wanted? Said the navigator who had just called Shiki, sweating profusely.
It turned out he was being threatened by Chopper and Usopp.
Nami, this is what you wanted, right? Asked Usopp. Yeah, it is. But are you sure?
Is it safe to fly into a storm? This time Chopper asked the question.
Of course it's not safe.
What? Exclaimed Usopp and Chopper.
But there's no other way, said Nami after tearing off a long part of her dress, fully prepared to brave the storm and help Luffy win his battle. Boom! Shiki was sent flying by a strike from Kaido's dragon tail.
He flew at bullet speed and collided with a small island below, destroying half of it in the process.
Warorororo. Kaido returned to his human form after teaching Shiki a lesson.
They were currently outside the art store on one of Shiki's islands, participating in a mock battle.
This battle with you is too boring, I'd rather read manga.
As soon as he said that, he pulled out the volume he had been hiding under his clothes and began reading where he left off. The bringing attention back to art feature was already activated, so even in the midst of the battle, the combatants would occasionally pull out their volumes.
Warorororo.
What a pathetic crew you have. Chopper and Usopp were able to threaten you and turn you against me. Shiki, who had just emerged from a massive crater, pulled out his own volume and began reading where he left off.
Damn you! Did you send me towards the storm?
The anger that this volume caused Shiki could not be contained in one or two instances. He even managed to partially resist the bringing attention back to art feature in his state of anger and chose to fight Kaido, who was enjoying rubbing salt in his wounds.
Damn you, Kaido! Who do you think you are mocking me? Have you forgotten that you were like my son on Captain Rock's ship? As soon as he said that, he immediately sent two intersecting sword slashes towards Kaido, who didn't bother to transform back into his dragon form to avoid them but instead blocked them with his kanabo. Your attacks are getting weaker anyway, why are you so dumb in the manga?
You could have let Luffy drown but you chose to save him from his suffering and free him from that water prison.
Are you seriously that stupid?
This time, Kaido didn't say that mockingly, but rather wanted clarification. Even he found the scene in the manga to be full of flaws.
Shiki wouldn't be in front of him if he were that stupid. What? Shiki looked at the manga page that contained the scene Kaido mentioned with a perplexed expression. Seriously, that's a huge mistake. Oh my god. These little bastards are planning to blow up the research lab. Are they even preparing to flee after my defeat? Do these allies also flee after sensing a slight climate change? Well, I'm sure I will benefit a lot from this volume. I will never make the same mistakes again. Maragoa. Luffy will win this battle. Of course he will, everything has been prepared for this moment so far. Inside the government hall, the 5 elders were licking their wounds and discussing the events of the volume that was nearing its end. They had already paid the price for their mistakes, as they were previously punished by Rob, but under the influence of refocusing on the art, they were still far from diving into the troubles they currently faced. The most important thing is the manga. Is Shiki so foolish? He could have left Luffy to die drowning without lifting a finger. Why did he send sword slashes and cut through the water prison, said the mustachioed Gorosei with a gloomy expression. It seems the effect of the steering wheel on his head is not small, replied the long-bearded Gorosei expressionlessly. What about his subordinates? They seem pitifully loose, even Usopp, Chopper, and Nami can defeat them. Even if they were just a group of weather scientists, they should have received proper training, shouldn't they? This time Saturn said with disdain. Ever since Shiki lost his own armada fleet in Ed War and retreated backward. Roger hit him to death, said the bald Gorosei. Do you think Roger was really the cause of that miserable storm? Asked the blonde Gorosei seriously. On the Sea of the New World. It seems like the end of the Golden Lion in the manga is approaching. Rayleigh drank from his small silver flask, the scenes of the manga reflected on his glasses as he laughed from time to time. This time, Luffy really did it big. Will his bounty rise even more after this? Shanks wondered with a smile. His straw hat was the same one on Luffy's head in the manga, so he was one of his biggest fans and had expressed it more than once on the World Forum. Many pirates will witness this, so it's not strange for the news to reach the Marines, which means his bounty will rise again. Anyway, that doesn't matter, his current bounty is high enough for the first half of the Grand Line. Gabon clarified some important points for Shanks, Buggy, and the others who were listening seriously. On the side, Rouge held Roger's hand and looked at a little boy running on all fours in the manga. It was what caught Rouge's attention the most in this volume. My dear, are you still looking at Little Ace? Wahahaha. The volume is almost over. Roger. The upcoming events in the manga will be harsh on us, you need to be mentally prepared for that. As she said that, a small tear fell on the face of the baby Ace in the manga. That wraps up this part of What If Becoming a Mangaka in One Piece World. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.